Hi everyone, welcome back to the Casual Watch Review channel. If this is your first time into my channel, I cover all sorts of horology subjects, right from expensive watches. I've reviewed a $200,000 Paul Newman Rolex Daytona, Patek watches, right through to the affordable end of the market. I recently did a solar quartz model, a mechanical chronograph. But there's one watch, and I haven't done a full review on the channel before, but it's the one keeper in my collection, or one of the keepers. Obviously, the other one is my Omega Speedmaster, which I just love. But I think this is one of the best value dive watches that you can buy, and that is the Citizen BN0151. And this week I have got seven reasons why I think this is probably one of the best value watches that you can own in your collection. The first one has to be overall design. My version is the blue version. They do a black dial version as well, but I think the blue is just stunning. The way that the applied indices have that silver surround on them, the design of the bezel, how it complements the dial, those highly legible hands that I think are even better than the comparable Seiko models, quite honestly. The thought that's gone into the design, the way that the date is offset, the printing on the dial is sharp. Even though it's a 44mm case, the lugs are short, but not too short, so it hugs the wrist really well. And then that offset crown at the 4 o'clock position. Now, this isn't an original design to this watch. This was based on Citizen watches that were heavily used in the military. There was versions that were used by the British military, and also automatic versions, very similar design of this watch, that were used by the Italian military. So the design itself has a strong heritage, and the execution of it, I think, is fantastic in this price range. The second one has to be the credentials of this watch. It's an ISO certified dive watch, a 200-meter dive watch. Now, ISO is a special accreditation that you can have for a watch that certifies it for its use. This is a 200-meter dive watch, but for its ISO certification, it has to be shock resistant. They test it to 25% over its actual dive rating. So to have an ISO certified dive watch at this price point, I think is fantastic. 3 is really linked to 2, and that is the overall quality of the watch. The execution of the design on this watch and the quality of materials they used in this price point, I think, is fantastic. The case, the fit and finish, the chapter ring lines up perfectly with the dial. Those applied indices look significantly higher quality than typical watches in this price range. Absolutely, these are mass-produced watches. Citizen, arguably one of the best makers of quartz watches. They sell millions of watches a year, so you'd imagine that their process is highly tuned by now. But even when you think of Seiko watches, they do have quality control issues on Seiko watches, the chapter rings misaligned, etc. Whereas you don't really see this on a Citizen watches, or certainly the ones that I've seen. The second hand lines up perfectly with the second markers, which is difficult to do on quartz watches. In fact, I'm going to do a whole video on why that is difficult. Number 4 is the wearability of the watch. It's 44mm case, but it fits my 7.2-inch wrist, and I think even smaller wrists very well. The lugs are slightly tapered down, and they are shorter lugs, and I think that really complements the design. It's very thin as well. Of course, it being a quartz watch, they can get it a lot thinner. I think the wearability of this watch has to be my number 4. Number 5 is, it's just a strap monster, this watch. It comes with a very nice dive watch strap that has, I believe, the decompression ratings on the side of it. I took it off the strap straight away. If anybody's a regular to this channel, you'll know that I think I'm even more a strap collector than I am a watch collector. I think I'm coming to terms with that now. I've had this on, I've currently got it on this Marine Nationale type elastic strap. I've worn it on NATO's. I've worn it on one of my favorite straps, which is a Zulu Diver rubber strap. The lugs, there's still enough gap for another strap to get on there. Number 6 on my list of 7 has to be price. This watch, regularly you can find it for $138 on Amazon. its retail price is $350, but wherever this watch is sold, it's sold for much less, and it's an absolute bargain at $138. There was recently an Amazon Prime Day where it fell below that $100 mark. I think for $138, sub $200, I think this is probably one of the best dive watches that you can buy. Number 7 on the channel. Everybody who watches knows that I'm a big fan of mechanical watches, and this watch is one of the very few quartz pieces that I have in the collection. Now, why is that? I think what Citizen do with their quartz movements is just awesome, and this one is using that eco drive technology. This means that it's solar powered as well, constantly recharges itself. It has an internal battery that charges from solar, so even with minimal exposure to light, you can fully recharge the battery. And even though it's got that solar panel underneath the dial, the printing is still there on the dial. They still have those applied indices. You can't tell by looking at the dial that it does have that solar panel underneath that first layer of the dial. The execution is awesome. Highly, highly accurate as well. If you're gonna be using it for diving, or even just a beta watch, a grab and go watch, you can't go wrong with the quartz, really. I love my mechanical watches, but you have to accept that there is that variance there. Whereas a quartz watch, you're talking plus and minus seconds a month or even a year that are similar to what a mechanical watch might lose in a day. So guys, there was my 7 reasons for why I think the Citizen BN0151 is possibly one of the best dive watches that you can buy, value versus functionality. Of course, there's many more expensive dive watches. Even Citizen make an Aqualand series that have depth gauges and things like that on them. But for the price point, I think this is probably one of the best dive watches that you can buy. But those were my 7 reasons, and it doesn't really matter what I think, it matters what you guys think. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think. Do you like this watch? Do you own one? Are you considering one? Or is there something you don't like about it? Let me know down below. As always, if you want to contact me directly, you can contact me on any of these social media links or directly at thecasualwatchreviewer@gmail.com. Also, listen to my new audio podcast if you're out in the car, out and about. I'll leave a link down below. Let me know what you think of that. Also, if you want to come on that podcast, drop me an email. As always, guys, really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time on the Casual Watch Review channel. Thanks, guys. Bye.